Hayley Dream Smasher Smith is the complete opposite of her dad.
Your side is always wrong.
Ow!
Haha, can't get me.
Unlike Stan, who is a patriotic Republican, Hayley is a pot-smoking liberal, and it's possible that their massive differences come down to the fact that she may not even be Stan's biological daughter. So for context, let's jump back in time to when her parents first met. One day, a young Stan gave a lift to a stranded, smoking hot blonde. And during the drive, Stan accidentally ran over a raccoon and decided he had to put the poor thing out of its misery. And it was this act of kindness that truly wooed Francine. They dated, fell madly in love, and it wasn't too long before Stan popped the question. But the night before the wedding, a nervous Francine reverted back to her old party girl ways, hooking up with a guy named Joel Larson. She felt so awful and so decided to keep the one-night stand a secret for 19 whole years before she finally told Stan the truth. But we'll get into that soon enough. There's a whole lot of other stuff that happens before that. Hayley's birth and her childhood. Despite strict instructions from the doc, heavily pregnant Francine goes to Africa for hers and Stan's honeymoon, and she actually goes into labour on a safari, but luckily a baboon was on hand to help deliver Hayley. In one episode, it was revealed that Francine actually gave birth to twins, including a boy named Bailey. But in a dark twist, Stan convinced Francine not to vaccinate Bailey, and so the poor baby died. Therefore, Stan hypnotizes Francine to forget the entire thing, and yikes, that is super, super dark. Stan gave his daughter the unusual middle name Dream Smasher because her birth forced him to settle down and quite literally smashed his dreams of finding long-lost gold.
Is that why my middle name is Dream Smasher?
It sure is, Hayley.
Oblivious to the fact that Hayley may not even be his, Stan adores his daughter and the two were thick as thieves. But don't be fooled into thinking that Stan was a great dad. He was far from it. He placed his daughter into Project Daycare, which was a CIA brainwashing project turning subjects into obedient sleeper agents. And his only reason for this was to spend more time with her.
I just thought it'd be fun to have a father-daughter spy team.
Yes, that does sound like fun.
Much later on in life, Hayley suddenly announced that she was going away to travel, and afraid of losing her, a desperate Stan uttered her trigger phrase, which made her super obedient.
I'm getting fed up with this orgasm!
Agent Small Wonder activated.
Under his control, he marries her off to a southern dandy, so she'll never leave him again. But this plan would quite literally blow up in his face when Hayley turns on Stan and shoots him. And although he technically did die for a short period, he was revived. As such, Hayley reverted back to her old self. But some good did come out of it, as Stan tells his daughter that he loves her no matter what. Compared to her younger years of being a daddy's girl, she soon developed a furious temper that saw her even commit hamster homicide, all because her crush ditched her for a new girl. This fury only got worse over puberty, with her hormone-fueled rampages regularly scaring the bejesus out of Stan and Francine. While Hayley was close to Stan when she was younger, the two soon drifted apart due to their different political beliefs.
You're such a fascist!
Peace pusher!
Hayley's hippie roots. Hayley's liberal left-wing politics and cynical rants pretty much define her character. But how did she get like this with a father like Stan? Well, Hayley's views apparently date back to her 7th birthday party. She saw a news story about a man clubbing a baby seal to death, and according to Roger, this was a real trigger that turned Hayley. And ever since then, as said in the show, she's been a passionate, if pessimistic, liberal. Hayley's politics often put her at odds with the rest of the Smiths family. When she's not annoying them about women's rights or vegetarianism, she's usually thwarting their many schemes. Whether it's unionising the homeless people Stan once exploited for profit, or calling Child Protective Services on Roger and Steve after they enslaved a bunch of foster kids. But she's also been shown to be very hypocritical over the years. While she often claims to follow a vegetarian diet, she has been shown to chow down on meat plenty of times. even going as far as admitting that she always has wanted to try to eat gorilla brain.
A gorilla that can speak sign language. I want to eat its brain.
She's also pretty trigger happy for someone who claims to be pro-gun control and has shot her father not once, not twice, but 3 bloody times. But despite their political differences, Stan does love his daughter, even after finding out she may not be his. After a night of hardcore drinking, Hayley was sent to hospital with kidney failure. And it was here that Francine finally admitted her secret one-night stand. But despite this bombshell, Stan still donated his own kidney, as well as the one he stole from Hayley's potential biodad. And what made it even more heartwarming was that he insisted not knowing which organ was a match because she'd always be his little girl to him. Hayley's love life. Hayley may not have as many rose bushes in her sex garden as Francine, but she certainly had her steady run of, shall we say, eclectic relationships. Back in season 1, the Smiths briefly moved to Saudi Arabia, where Hayley met a handsome young local called Kazim. He wooed her by claiming to be an extremist freedom fighter, but she soon found out that this was just a line Kazim fed to American girls just so they'd have sex with him. In reality, he was just a regular non-terrorist dude working a dead-end job at a food stand. But at least Kazim was a hot young thing, unlike many of Hayley's other more questionable partners. She had a brief fling with Stan's crazy CIA boss Avery Bullock, but this was partly understandable given Bullock's madcam British charm, but is also a tiny bit gross when you consider their considerable age gap. And after this relationship, it does make you wonder if Hayley's harboring some kind of daddy issues. Speaking of which, one of Hayley's most disturbing dalliances was with Bill, Stan's CIA body double.
You were just making out with a man who looks exactly like your father.
Yep, you've heard that right. Hayley was once in a relationship, albeit brief, with a man whose job it was to look, talk, and act exactly like her dad. Can you hear the faint sound of banjo starting up, or is it just me? Dating her dad's own body double isn't the last example of Hayley's questionable taste in men either, and I'm using the word men loosely here. She once had a season-long flirtation with CIA agent Reginald the Koala. Reginald may have had a human brain inside of that cute little koala body of his, but he's still mostly an animal. So we can conclude that Hayley doesn't even blink at a bit of pseudo-bestiality either. And for a moment or two, it seemed like the two were gonna make it for the long haul. But luckily, she soon reunited with her one true love, Jeff. Hayley loves Jeff. If there's a man that Hayley is meant to be with, it's undoubtedly her on and off boyfriend and eventual husband, Jeff Fischer. Hayley and Jeff have been together since the start of the show, and though they've broken up more times than most of us have had hot dinners, it's pretty clear that they're made for each other. Probably because they're both hippie slackers, and he's the mellow yin to Hayley's fiery yang. Stan's obvious disapproval of their relationship hasn't succeeded in keeping them apart yet, always somehow finding their way back into each other's lives. They even eloped in season 6. And naturally, her parents weren't too chuffed about their daughter getting hitched to a slacker like Jeff, so they offered a $50,000 reward for anyone willing to stop their wedding. But they were duped by the couple, who claimed the bounty for themselves, just so they could elope in style, and oddly enough, they even impressed Stan with their resourcefulness. Yes, it's true that their relationship has really gone through thick and thin. When it wasn't parental disapproval, it was alien abduction. One day, Roger tricked Jeff into getting abducted, and so the couple's love truly conquered the separation of time and space, which is quite incredible. It also turns out that the Jeff that returned to Earth was an alien with Jeff's brain in his head. But more on that soon. Yep, they probably own one of the sturdiest relationships in Langley Falls, but whether Hayley and Jeff are ready to take it to the next level is hugely debatable. Is Hayley ready to be a mum? Technically, Hayley has already got a taste for motherhood back when Jeff got broody and randomly adopted a baby called Nemo. And despite insisting that she didn't have a maternal bone in her body, Hayley soon fell for young Nemo.
I love him so much!
But as what normally happens with young babies, it turns out to be the Antichrist. So she was forced to send away the baby to be raised in a more suitable home with Sarah Palin. And even though the Antichrist had left the building, her maternal feelings still remained because Jeff and Hayley soon announced that they planned to start trying for a baby of their own. But the small matter of Jeff actually being an alien soon came back to the surface. To avoid giving birth to a half-human, half-alien baby, Roger graciously offered to rebirth Jeff as a fully fledged human. But the whole complicated process did make the couple aware that they weren't quite ready for kids yet.
Well, having just been born, I feel I'm a little young to have a baby.
However, kids might not be on the cards for Hayley at all, thanks to another one of Stan's mad schemes. It turns out going on vacation with his wife and kids is Stan's idea of pure hell. So every year he borrows goo-filled artificial memory chambers from the CIA, pops his family inside of them, and implants false vacation memories in their brains. It might have been convenient for Stan, but the goo quite possibly made Hayley infertile.
Don't get any of that goo on you, it'll rot out your womb.
Either way, it's probably for the best that Hayley puts parenthood on the back burner for the time being. It's not like she's got the means to support a baby anytime soon. Haiti the Slacker. Hayley's been majoring in women's studies at Groff Community College since the show began, dropping out and preferring to live at home to mooch off Stan and Francine.
You're an unemployed college dropout who sleeps with her husband in a twin bed.
In the episode prior before the fail, Hayley was horrified to learn that she was only one credit away from graduating and admitted she planned to put it off for as long as possible.
Totally understand. Between us, it is hell on the other side.
It seems that Hayley is just as uncommitted in her work life too, with an array of super short-lived jobs. From dancing in a strip club to working as a bartender at Roger's place, where she swiftly developed a drinking problem. She also took an office job, which seems pretty normal, but that was only to fuel and support her weed habit. To give her some credit, Hayley has managed to keep a fairly regular minimum wage job, making sandwiches and delivering the orders too, even if she doesn't always take it seriously. Alongside getting high on the clock, she also takes the odd cold cut from a sandwich. So much for that vegetarian diet, eh?
When did you stop being a vegetarian?
When I started getting high driving meat around town.
As big of a slacker she is, Hayley may be successful if she really put her mind to it. She's got a great set of pipes, and she's also proved to be quite the businesswoman, nabbing a job with a Fortune 500 company and successfully pitching a new take on spaghetti and meatballs.
Meat-getty and spag balls!
Future Hayley. As for what holds in the future for Hayley, only time will tell. But American Dad's many flash forward and alternate timelines have hinted at a fair few possible outcomes. In the episode The 200, an incident involving Roger and the Hadron Collider resulted in a nuclear apocalypse that turned Langley Falls into a cannibal-ravaged wasteland. On the upside, Hayley fared reasonably well, having trained a falcon to attack her foes and living out a post-apocalyptic hippie dream tilling the fields with Jeff and their kids. However, Hayley didn't fare quite as well in the episode 300, which saw the return of Roger's golden turd and its corruptive influence. A flash forward set 20 years into the future saw the Smith family turn on one another as they tried to get their hands on the golden turd, with Hayley crushing Steve to death with a camper van before getting shot dead by her very own mother. But Hayley got a much nicer outcome in the episode No Weddings and a Funeral, which jumped forward 15 years and found her living with Jeff and their 6 children. That said, the episode revealed that Hayley had been estranged from the entire family for years, and that one of her many kids, young Noah, had some worrying future serial killer tendencies. So it seems whatever future Hayley gets, it won't be all plain sailing. And so that concludes the chronology of Hayley Smith, Do let me know in the comments which other American Dad characters you'd like to see next. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my very next timeline. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.